If you live in an old house with a wooden basement door, never leave it unlatched at night. And if you hear the wood creaking from the inside, do not look through the keyhole to check, because whatever is standing on the other side is looking through it too. A college student named Julian rented a cheap, historic house close to his campus. The house was beautiful but old, featuring a heavy, dark oak door in the kitchen that led straight down into a damp, unfinished dirt basement. Julian hated that door. The brass latch was rusty, and it never fully closed properly. One evening, Julian was studying late at the kitchen table, surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee mugs. It was around 1:30 a.m. when he heard it, a low, rhythmic creaking sound coming from the basement door. Creak, creak, creak. It sounded exactly like old wooden steps groaning under the weight of someone slowly walking up the stairs, one step at a time. Julian froze. He knew he was the only one in the house. He stared at the dark oak door. The heavy brass latch was vibrating slightly. The creaking stopped right at the top step, directly behind the wood. Julian's heart was hammering against his ribs. He convinced himself it was just the house settling or rats in the basement walls. Needing to prove it to himself so he could sleep, he quietly stood up and tiptoed across the cold linoleum floor until he was standing right in front of the door. He leaned down, holding his breath, and pressed his right eye flat against the old-fashioned brass keyhole to peer into the darkness of the stairwell. At first, he couldn't see anything. It was just an empty, uniform, milky gray void. Julian breathed a sigh of relief. He began to pull his face away, thinking the basement was just foggy from the humidity. But as his head moved back, the gray void inside the keyhole suddenly shifted. It wasn't a void. It was a massive, bloodshot, unblinking human eye, staring directly back into his own. The person on the other side had been leaning down, matching his movement perfectly, waiting for him. Before Julian could move, the heavy oak door didn't fly open. Instead, a wet, rasping voice slid straight through the keyhole, whispering directly into his ear. "I found a space. Open up. If you hear noises in your walls tonight, ignore them, because some doors are meant to stay locked forever."